Hi friends! Today we're featuring a Denona duo, her newest addition to her MIDI collection, the Retro palette with Glam. But first, if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things, all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeup, so you can head over to my Instagram. I already have a retro palette video up. If you want to see eight looks, swatches, and my thoughts on the inspo, you could take a look at that video with the link down below or up above. And if you're new here, I love to do mashup videos. I have my McGrath mashup series where I combine lots of McGrath palettes, and for the Denona duo series, I wanted to combine a lot of the palettes with retro because I was just so inspired by everyone's input in terms of where Natasha was going with this. And initially she had wanted to create a palette, a sister palette specifically to Glam, focusing on the taupier rosy shades in mini retro, and wanted to expand on that color story. Many were expecting green taupes and maybe more muted earthy tones, and perhaps that curation would align with the 60s. But Lucinda, one of our fan members, brought up a very good point. Maybe Natasha Denona, being raised in Croatia, you know, her interpretation of the 60s was very different from ours, and who knows where she was at the time. But 60s can mean many things depending on where you are on the globe, right? And perhaps what she saw at the time, or what she thinks as retro, perhaps very different from how we interpret that era here in the States. Nevertheless, the more and more I dove into it, the more and more I figured out why I love retro so much is because definitely it's like Victorian vampire, just Edgar Allan Poe, mysterious, the dark rose, that just like with that ox blood color. Initially I said goth, and people who actually are goth were like, I don't think so. And I agree, not goth specifically. Oh, there goes sun change, thank you so much. But this palette definitely gives an old world feel about it. Whether it's 60s or not, I really don't care. I just love the burgundies in here. So today we are combining that palette with Glam, and Glam is definitely one of Natasha's best sellers because it is just the neutral cool tones in here are ideal for every day, for amping up the glam, as it is appropriately named. But now combining it with the burgundies, mauves, and roses, the opportunities, I can't take it. With all that out the way, why don't you come in a little closer? That's enough. Eyes are prepped. You know what? I was looking at this before. Man, there's just a lot of things we can do. I would say if you don't want the retro tones to lean heavy on the burgundy side and you wanted it to be more neutral, then you would take one of the transition shades. Depending on your skin tone, you can use any of these on your crease and then go in with a retro shade instead of starting with a rosy lilac tone transition shade, and that will definitely steer the look to be more rosy burgundy. So why don't we do that? I'll first start off the look with Opart, which is perhaps one of my most favorite shades in here. It's a brown taupey cream to powder formula that, oh my goodness, although it leans cool, I think it more neutral than anything. You could wear this shade alone. You can place it on the outer corner here to start a look. Maybe you can use it on the lash line to create like a taupey smoky wing. And now let's take the blend shade here, which is a little more on the warm side, and then I'll take that on the edges of Opart. And you see here immediately when combining these two together how this is now appearing to be a little more neutral overall, versus if we were to combine Opart with Andy or Go-Go from retro, Andy being more lilac, Go-Go being more rose. You can see how the whole look will just go tapping on a little bit more of Opart, blending the edges here. Now with this outer lid shade, which is like a bronzy-ish type of, you know, let me put this on. Oh, yes. It's definitely more bronzy in hue than Opart. It has like a goldish undertone to it, but makes the look beautifully smoky. Then on the inner corner, we could go in with this silvery shade here, because I think that will pair quite nicely. Oh, there we go. I'm bringing it down and around here on the inner lower lash line. And I think also what we'll do is go back into the outer lid shade that we applied on the inner lid and place it here on the lower lash line. Now I applied a little too much, as you see. No worries. Let's just fluff that out, get it along the lash line. And then I'll go in with the brush I used to blend out my concealer with, and that was with the Sonia G Jumbo Concealer. I'm gonna tap right under just so I can clean up the edges here. Ooh, we love. And now with Opart on the outer part of the lower lash line, overlapping the outer lid bronzy shade. Taking a little bit of the blend matte here just to feather away. Ooh, that's nice. I love the tone of it. You can definitely get away with this, I think, for a daily eye, because it's not so smoky that it warrants, like, I don't know, evening gown realness, but it has enough body to it that makes a statement without it being too much. For this eye, I want to combine more of the burgundy shade. So you know what? Let's go in with Groove. Groove, although it looks reddish in pan, it actually comes out to be definitely more burgundy in hue. And this is a creamy matte formula, so it is a powder, but it has really nice stick. And I think before we go any further, I then want to use this more gray tone transition shade. And then right on the edges here of Groove, we're gonna start taking that a little bit out. Yes. So again, if you don't want this to be super burgundy in undertone, then use the more neutral shades from Glam as your transition. And then I'm going back in with Groove just to put more through the crease here and to start building this out. And actually going in with the lighter Mushroom Matte a little higher here near the arch of the brow. And as always, if things get out of hand, just have your concealer brush on standby as your eraser. Going back in with a little more Groove, as I do still want the burgundy to kind of be the standout shade here for this eye. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, now back in with Glam. You know what? I think I want to take this center lid color because it does have a pinkish tone to it, which I think will pair beautifully with Groove. And then tapping a little more Groove on the seams here. I definitely took Groove in a little more in than I would have liked. But you know what we can do? So loud. So loud. Let's take this grayish tone outer lid shade from Glam, overlap with Groove and that pinkier shimmer. And I think that'll be a nice gradient of color so that it's not completely burgundy on 3/4 of the lid, but it has like now that grayish metallic transition into the pinkier metallic. And I'm just toggling back and forth because nevertheless I still want burgundy to dominate the outer lid. And then if I feel like I need more of that grayish mushroom metallic, I'll place it more here using light tapping motions. And then with no additional product here on my fluffy brush, I'm just pulling everything together through the crease. That's pretty. Now with Groove on the outer lower lash line. Ooh, we still have to do the inner corner. You know what? Let's go in with Glitz. I think Glitz will be really nice with that metallic we applied from Glam. So I'm placing that on the inner corner here. And then for the rest of the lower lash line, I think it'll be really fun to go in with Swing. It's like totally left field, but I think appropriate because why not? That'll be our pop of color, if you will. So now placing that on the lower lash line, overlapping that shade with Groove, and just making sure everything looks smooth and seamless. Putting a little bit of glitz here on the lower inner lash line. Alrighty, slap on some lashes and I'll be right back. Alright, here is a close-up of both looks. We first have the soft daily smoky eye, and you have the more burgundy-ish leaning, but interesting, when I combined that more gray toned crease shade to groove, it steered groove a little more gray tone. Isn't that interesting? But I'm happy we added that grayish metallic along the center of the lid just to transition nicely into that pinkier tone shimmer. And I have chandelier lashes on in the style Ariel. And here's a wide shot of both looks. On the lips, I have the Suqqu Sheer Matte Lipstick in the shade 07. Okay, how about we do 2 more looks? With that said, I'll take this off and I'll be right back. For this round, I wanted to first go in now with the more rosy lilac tone, transition-y shades from Retro, and then maybe the deeper shades from Glam. Let's now go in with Go Go, which is a beautifully rose tone cream to powder formula. Now, it's rosy, but it's not overly warm, which is what I think is so unique about this shade. Being very generous with it because I want this to steer the rest of the look. And now a little bit with the smoke shade. I'm tapping that on the outer part of the lid and overlapping that with Go Go. Now this has a similar feel to Opart, except let's see here. This is smoke and Opart. You see that smoke is just lighter, but it also, I feel, a little more neutral in undertone. And you know, I just wanted to see if perhaps if we place that on the outer lid, how that would influence Go Go overall. Moving back and forth between the 2 shades. Not bad. You still see that the pink is showing through, or more rose is showing through the crease, even with introducing the smokier shade, taupey gray, brown, however you want to categorize it, onto the lid. Now though, I think you know what? I think I want to go in with an actual lid shade from Retro. Let's now use Jude, which is definitely more on the silvery side, but I think it'd be pretty cool to see what it does. Carving right under the crease here. I like that. I'm gonna have to get a different lens because of my setup now. The desk is pushing me away from my camera, and this is the closest it zooms. So with that said, I'm gonna have to get another lens. Oh well. B&H, here I come. Tapping a little more smoke here, so it could have, just for a little bit of smoothness. Now with Groove, I just want to place a little bit of that on the outer lid. Don't know if I want to fully commit to a liner. I'm going 3/4 in and then widening it towards the end of the lash line, just to create a little bit of contrast. All right, I like that. Okay, let's keep going. This inner corner shade, which I think leans a little more beige, I'm gonna place that as our highlight shade here. Back in with the smoke shade on the outer third of the lower lash line. And although this says brow bone, I'm placing it on the inner lower lash line here. I think that'd be a nice pop of like a champagne hue. Oh, I like that. That's pretty. Putting a little more Jude now with my finger on the majority of the lid, just to bring back any impact that we lost from blending, but pretty much I think we're good to go. Just a little more. For this eye, I love Nude Mauve. I want to go in with Nude Mauve, but the thing is, there's like these gold tone shades in here that I'm trying to figure out how can I incorporate what's going on. Like I want to go Andy. You know, that's what I'm going to do. Let's go in with Andy, the more lilac tone. Let's first hit that on the crease. And now with Rebellion, the cream to powder formula. Let's try my Tanuki brush. See how this does with cream to powder. It's definitely on the lighter side. I think if you wanted to just devote the shade to the outer V, it works out, you know. Switching to my reference number 12. So dome shaped brush, but it's like Coho Goat, whereas the Tanuki is Black Raccoon. I just get a little more pickup from Suqqu Go, especially when it comes to the cream to powder formula. I'm gonna place that on the inner part of the lid, building a halo eye here. Now a center eyelid, the more gold metallic between Rebellion. I feel like we just got real Christmassy for some reason. Using light tapping motions just to evenly distribute the shade, but also being very careful with the borders because I want it to look like a smooth overlap. So once I've applied that center shade on from Glam, going back in with a little bit of Rebellion and tapping here on the edges of that gold metallic shade. That's pretty. And why not? I don't know what this will do, but taking a little bit of psychedelic from Retro, this is the Chroma Crystal shade, which is more of a veil of sparkle. So it's not going to have an opaque base like what you see in the Glam palette from the metallic shades. But I think maybe nice if we just tap a little bit on the center of the lid. I love that because now it's steering it, since it was so golden before. The coolness from psychedelic, I think, brought it to the middle. So if you didn't like, or you were trying this and you felt that the contrast was a little too much for you, you can bring down the gold by tapping on psychedelic, and that definitely changes the hue. Oh man, but now you have that extra twinkle effect. We like. What am I gonna do with the bottom? I think I'm gonna go like left field. And do I want to go left field? Not too left field. Maybe with Amara from Retro on the lower lash line. It's not the exact same color as Burgundy, but it's in the same vein. I'm bringing Amara all the way in because I think I want to apply another shade on the center of the lower lash line. In fact, I'm taking that same shade we placed on the lid and tapping it right on the center of the lower lash line. Yup, and following suit, then taking psychedelic and just tapping that right on top. If you want it to drop a little bit so that it has like that crying glitter effect, you most certainly may. I think it's very pretty, but I understand if you're not for that. Make sure you have something on standby, your eraser or however form that takes. So if you need to clean up, you can. And for our standout highlight, I mean, we can go so many ways. For, you know what, let's just go in with our inner corner shade from Glam. It's very silvery, but I don't know, I feel like that's fun. Or we could go in with the center lid shade. That's a little more pink if you want to layer that on top. Alrighty, slap on some lashes and I'll be right back. Alrighty, here's a close-up. We have our first eye that we introduced the burgundy liner to the lash line, but also combined Go-Go, the rose-toned cream to powder shade with smoke, which is more like a neutral medium brown, I would say. This side, I really loved how it turned out. The gold with the burgundy shade, or more maroon, however you want to classify it. And here's a close-up of these lids. Here's a wider shot of both looks. Forgot to mention in demo 1 I applied Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude lip liner in Naya, and in this demo as well with Gucci's Penny Beige. I hope this video was helpful to you, fam. Not to make you buy any of these palettes. If you happen to have similar shades, maybe this will inspire you to curate your own palette with the singles that you already own. I love combining the burgundy tones with the more grayish tones, with the silver taupes and bronzier shades found in Glam, and I could have gone on and on and on and done different combinations, but it's so nice to actually put them to the test, combine them, and see what other looks you could come out with, and also to experiment and see firsthand how undertones change looks completely. And sometimes you just have to take risks and see what happens. I love the fact that we combine the more burgundy tones with the silvery tones. We did more maroon here with the gold, and this I particularly love because that rosy tone from Go-Go that maybe you wouldn't think to combine with the brown taupe shade worked out. And the fact that the majority of the lid shade was like a silverish metallic one, you know, I guess you can categorize it as more taupe, but it still worked out. And I think that coolness and neutral and rose tones combined makes such a beautiful eye look for the day. That's not your typical neutral shade eye. That just helps you think out of the box in terms of how you combine different colors. Let me know down below if you received retro, if you bought it, if you have both retro and glam, if you've been combining them, if you have shades from other brands and you've been putting those together. I will see you down in the comments, fam. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you in here again with another review tutorial Denona duo mashup. Monthly favorites, which I still need to do for August, Alicia. Or daily vlog. Take care, and I will see you again soon.